Hi, this is Vicki with Crafting for Fun. Today I'm here to share with you how I made this cute little Father's Day treat bag. This bag is about 6 inches long, about 4 inches wide, and 1.5 inches deep. It looks like a man's shirt with a necktie, and it's super easy to make. So let me gather my supplies and I'll show you how to make this project. To make today's project, you'll need the following items. You'll need a piece of designer paper or patterned paper that measures 7 1/2 by 12 inches. This is a piece from the Basic Gray Hey You paper stack, and it has a craft colored solid background with a plaid foreground. I'm going to use this to represent the fabric of my man's shirt. You'll also need a piece of coordinating cardstock that is approximately 4 inches by 6 inches. That's just approximate. And you'll want it to be something that you can use for your tie, your man's necktie. So it needs to match your shirt. And then I'm going to use 2 buttons. These are approximately 1/4 of an inch in diameter, and they're just something I had in my stack. Those are completely optional. In addition to that, you'll need some type of a scoring tool. And you'll need some adhesives. I'm going to be using my tape runner, some pop dots, and my score tape. And then you'll need scissors and a bone folder. So let's get started. You'll want to lay your paper on your scoring tool so that the 12-inch side is at the top. And you're going to score at 1 1/2 inches, 5 3/4 inches, 7 1/4 inch, and 11 1/2 inches. And then you'll want to go back to the 3 5/8. So that's just one tick after the 3 1/2, and you'll want to score down approximately, maybe 1 1/4 or 1 1/2 inches. So just score down there. And that is all of the scoring you'll need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my scoring tool. Then you'll want to turn your paper over. Now you might notice that I made a bit of a mistake when I was scoring, so I have one additional score line. I did that when I was setting up. Oh, I'm sorry. I do need to score one more thing. I need to score. So my paper was originally on my paper trimmer like this, or my paper scorer like this. I'm going to turn it. So this is where I scored that little mark at 3 5/8. I'm going to score it so that the opposite end, the bottom, what was the bottom, is now along the side here, and I'm going to score at 1 1/2 inches. Oops. Yep, score at 1 1/2 inches all the way down. Okay, almost forgot that, and that was kind of important. So now I'm going to remove my paper trimmer, or paper scorer, I should say, and I'm going to turn my paper over. Now you'll notice on one side you have a very narrow piece that is only 1/2 inch wide. That's going to be your glue tab. So I'm going to go to the end, and you'll notice that there's a score line here and a very small piece at the bottom. We're going to trim that small piece off. Now I'm going to go ahead and angle these pieces because those are going to be on my glue tab, so I'm going to angle both ends. And that's all the trimming I'm going to do on the end. Now I'm going to go along the bottom where I have that 1 1/2 inch score line is here, runs here, and I'm going to cut up along the edge to that 1 1/2 inch score line at every single place I scored. There we go. So now I'm ready to go ahead and begin folding along my score lines. So I'm going to fold along all of my score lines. And burnish well. And this is where you'd want to use your bone folder. There. Now I'm going to, this is the back side, and this is the front side of my piece. I'm going to lay it with the back side facing up, and I'm going to fold that little glue tab back, and I'm going to apply some score tape to that. I prefer score tape or red line sticky tape whenever I'm constructing a box, because I feel like that, or a box or a bag or anything that's going to have a little bit of a tension on it because of opening and closing. But like I said, you can use whatever adhesive strong adhesive you prefer. I'm going to peel the backing off of my tape, my score tape. Oops. There we go. And now what I'll do is I'll fold this up card style so that all my edges stick together. There we go. And I'm not really happy with the way that, well, I'm going to have to work quickly. Well, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to do a little trimming actually. Not really happy with the way I lined that up. So, and I'm sure this has never happened to y'all, so I'm just going to go in and do a little trimming. And I can do the same thing at the top. This is a quick fix. There we go. Okay, so now my top edge is all even and my side edge is all even, and you'll see if I open that up I have a box shape. So where I did that little score line is going to be the front of my box, and I'm going to actually cut down on that score line, that 3 5/8 inch score line, about 1.5 inches. And again, that's approximate, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. It's kind of, so I have a little slit in the front, and my seam is here in the back of my bag, and I'm going to fold these little side tabs on the bottom in, and I'm going to go ahead and fold my other ones, and just fold them in both directions. There we go. Now I'm ready to go ahead and assemble the bottom of my bag. So what I want to do is I want to fold this back tab in, the big tab in the back in, and my front tab down so that I have a nice smooth edge here at the front of my bag. So I want it to be like this, where my back folds in and my front folds over. And for this I can just use regular adhesive. Oops, there we go. So I want to go very close to the edge, and I'll go all along the edge there. And then I'm going to fold that up, making sure my edges are as straight as possible. And I can take my bone folder and stick it inside and kind of burnish everything down. So there we go. Now, on the sides of my bag, before I go any further, I can pinch those, and what I do is I kind of gently fold them, line up the sides very well. We'll see if you can see that. Line up the sides very well before I crease anything down, and then I just kind of lay them against a hard surface and give them a little push, and you'll see I get a crease there. And you can do that down as far as you want. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of insert my finger there, line the sides up, and you haven't creased anything yet, so you have a chance to do a little adjustment, and then go ahead and lay it against a hard surface and push it down. So now I have a basic paper bag shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down, and now I can make it flat because I've pushed those sides in, and I'm going to fold these little tabs back. And I'm going to want to fold them so that it's almost all the way, about 1/8 inch away from the corner here. So I fold that one back and have a little space before the corner. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to fold it back, and I want them to be even in the center. You'll see, I'll bring it closer so you can see. And they don't have to be, it's not an exact thing. So about like that. And if you're not happy with it, just go back and, I think that should be adjusted a little bit more. I can always go back. Now take your bone folder and burnish everything down really well. Okay, so now I have something that looks like that. So I'm going to take Pop Dots, and I'm going to put one behind each of these little, their lapels. So I'm going to put one behind each little lapel on my man's shirt. And I don't want them to lay completely flat because then I'll lose all of my dimensional effect. So I'm just put those behind there. And now I'm going to bring back those little buttons that I had. Oops, here they are. And I've already put them on little mini glue dots. So there's a little mini glue dot on the back of each of these buttons, and I'll put them right down in the corner like a man's button-down shirt. Now, you can freehand the shape of a tie, but I was lucky enough to have a tie pattern on my Silhouette die cutting machine, so I went ahead and cut out a little tie, and this tie is approximately about 4 inches long. So if you have a die cutting machine and you have a man's tie shape on it, cut out a tie that is about 4 inches long. If not, you can freehand a tie shape. It is not a difficult shape to do. And then all you're going to do is put some pop dots on the back, and I'm going to go right up underneath the collar. And that's why if your slit isn't perfect in the middle of that, when you slit down the middle, if it isn't perfect, you're going to cover up anything. And there we go. We have a very adorable little treat bag. This bag measures about 4 inches wide, and it's about 6 inches long. It can actually hold quite a bit. So, now you say, well, your paper has a plaid front and a nice craft color on the inside, and so that looks good together. What if my paper just has a white background and I really don't like the way that looks with my pattern? What can I do? I'm going to show you a second option. So for this one, and this is just a variation on the same theme, I'm using a piece of paper that is 12 inches by 9.5 inches, and it's just white on the background. And if I didn't want white lapels, which white lapels would look great with this shirt, because some men's shirt do have a pattern on the front and white lapels, but in this case, let's say I did not like the white with my chosen paper. Let me show you what you can do. I'm going to bring back my scoring tool, and I'm going to lay it with my 12-inch side at the top. And I'm going to score very much the same way. I'm going to score at 1.5 inches. I'm going to score at 5 3/4 inches. I'm going to score at 7 1/4 inches. And then at 11.5 inches. So that's exactly as I did before. Then I'm going to go to my 3 5/8, and I'm going to score down about 1 1/4 inches, 1.5 inches, just like I did on my other one. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. On this one, I'm going to turn it, so my 1 3/4 inch, my little tiny score line is along the long side here, and I'm going to score at 2 inches. Oh, you know what? I just thought of something. So in this case, the score mark that is at 3 5/8 inches needs to actually go down all the way down to 3.5 inches. I didn't think of that. So it needs to go down to 3.5 inches, and you'll understand why here in just a moment. So down to 3 1/2 inches. You're going to turn it, score at 2 inches, and then you're going to score at, let me see, 9.5, so you're going to score at 8 inches. So 2 inches and 8 inches. And I'll show you how we're going to do this one a little bit differently. In order to achieve the look for the lapels to be the same color as the front of my shirt, what I'm doing is I'm making a piece that folds over. So we're going to fold this 2-inch section that's at the top down. And my little score mark that I scored down to the 3.5 inches right here in the middle, you'll feel it. So this section here is going to actually be the front of my shirt. So when I open this back up, I'm going to open it back up. I folded the 2-inch score mark. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to trim down to that 2-inch, or cut down to that 2-inch score mark along all of those horizontal, all of those vertical score lines. But I'm not going to cut that one that just goes down to 3 5/8. Okay, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to trim off the one that's on the end, and I'm going to trim off all the others. All of them except the one that has that little score mark that goes down to the 3 5/8, because we know that is going to be the front section of our shirt. So you have something that looks like this at the top with a little score line in it. Now I'm going to turn it to the other side, and I'm going to do exactly like I did on my original piece. I'm going to take the little piece on the end off. I'm going to angle these ends for my glue tab, and then along all of the other score lines I'm going to cut up to the 1.5 inch score mark. There we go. So I'm going to fold all of these along the score line. I'm going to fold my glue tab over. I'm going to go ahead and apply my sticky strip. And this is just kind of a variation on a theme. It's just a very slightly different version, and I'll show you the magic here in just a moment. So you're going to remove your backing from your score tape, and we're going to go ahead and fold along those score lines. And then I'm going to fold this up like a book, and this time I'm going to be much more careful because I don't want to have to do any trimming like last time. So fold that up. When I open it up, I have my box shape. Now I have this piece here. Now what I'm going to do with this piece here is I'm going to apply adhesive, and I'm going to be very generous with adhesive on this piece, especially down to where that score mark is. And then I'm going to just take that, and you may have to fiddle a little bit, and just tuck it inside of my bag. And I'm going to tuck it and secure it all the way down. And you'll want to take your bone folder and give that a very good rub. So we know this is the front of our bag. It's got the little flap that's folded in. So I'm going to go ahead and make the bottom of my bag. So I'm going to fold the side tabs in, and remember the back goes in first. And I'm going to lay it down and put some adhesive along my tab. Make sure the end gets good coverage there, and fold my pieces in. There we are. And then I'm going to go ahead and crease my sides. And do the same thing over here. I'm going to crease my sides. Now this paper is just a wee bit thicker than my other paper. And that's okay, works fine. So before I open that up, I'm going to feel where my score line is there in the middle. I'm going to take my scissors, and on a very heavily patterned paper, you'll actually have to feel where that score line is, because sometimes it is hard to see. I'm going to cut down to my 1.5 inch score line, and then I'm going to turn back. And you'll see that the back side of my lapels are now exactly the same color as the rest of my shirt. And that is what I was trying to achieve. So I'm folding back my lapels here. For this particular shirt, I have buttons that are white because I just didn't have a color that I was real happy with. Black seemed too stark, and I just didn't like the way the brown looked. I'm going to bring back some pop dots, and I'm going to put one on the back of each lapel because, again, I want them down, but I don't want them to lay completely flat. And I'm going to grab my necktie piece. Now, I have not assembled this necktie. This is how the particular tie that I got was cut. It was two pieces, one kind of octagon shape and then the regular tie. And that would look cute with just the regular tie, but in this case I'm supposed to fold the little octagon shape in half and apply adhesive to the whole thing, and then I'm supposed to take that and stick it over the top part of the tie to give it a little more dimension. And I really like this two-piece tie. And now I'm going to put some pop dots on the back. So if you're having to cut one by hand, that might be something you consider, is doubling up the top piece just to give it a little more dimension. I'm going to take my pop dots off. And again, I'm going to go snug that right up under my collar. And tape it down. And there we go. I have one that has lapels that match the color of my shirt, and then my original here. So, I think both of these are just adorable. They would make a great holder for a surprise for Dad on Father's Day. And they're really, really simple and easy to put together. Be a great craft to do with the kids now that they're out of school for the summer. So, I hope you enjoyed this project. If you have any questions, please email me or check out my blog, craftingforfun.blogspot.com, for additional craft ideas. Hope to see you back here again soon. Thanks.